What's up, everybody? This is your spiritual nomad, Montre Bible. Yep, that's my real last name. And I'm hanging out with my boy Vesper, my spiritual friend. We've been friends for a long time, haven't we? How many years?
Over a decade.
Oh my
Over. Well,
God.
we met in LA.
We met in
What?
Los Angeles. Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh my
2008, 2009 ish.
Lord, has it been that long? What year is
Mm-hmm.
it? It's 2024. I don't even want to do the math.
Right.
That is a long time. Anyways, once again, I'm going to be giving my 2 cents on what's going on the interweb.
Mm-hmm.
And and you brought me this video. I've kind of seen it scrolling through, but
I have too, but I'm gonna save for my comments for after the audience can see it.
yeah, I'm sure everybody. But I have a strong black audience, so maybe they haven't. Because sometimes, like I said, the algorithm. Because we all talking
Right.
about Cat Williams and stuff, but this has
Oh, I
because
do want to talk about that too.
we can talk about that. We can talk about that. I get the Cat Williams videos, but I also am a part of the spiritual community and the alien community. Folks talking about that stuff, so I will see these videos come across my feed. So I guess it's all about what you're searching for. Of course, for those who don't know, there was a bunch of hoopla about aliens running around in a Miami mall or something of that nature. What was the
Right.
story that you heard? Because you're over there in Georgia, right?
I didn't hear anything about it, and I have people in Miami. So I asked them, they were like, "Huh?"
What? Exactly. Like I
Exactly.
said, everyone's living in a whole different reality sometimes based upon what kind of news you're getting. You know, so like I said, this is the stuff that pops up on my feed. People are like, "What are y'all talking about?" We're talking about this, y'all.
Right.
So we're going to react to this video. Let me take it off of mute and see what she's talking about.
I cannot believe the words that are about to
Can you
come out
make
of
it?
my mouth. Oh, silly me before we
Can you
get
hear it?
started. Guys, Tiki Talk,
Yeah.
this
Can
is
you make it
purely
full
for
screen?
entertainment
Yeah.
purposes only. We're just goofing around. All things stated here are purely speculation. Just having fun. You are going to want to
That
see
part.
this because there is a very good chance, at least for the next few days, you
I
will
don't
not
know.
see this anywhere else but right here. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure what part of this story bugs me most. The fact that we actually now live in a world where something like this could happen, the fact that we actually live in a world where something like this could happen, but at this point, none of us will even be shocked. Or the fact that something like this could happen in our world and not a single news media has broke this story, not at all. In fact, if you Google search it, it is quite a difficult find, which is all that much more
But we
suspicious with
still
a
heard
story
about
of
it.
this kind of size, this magnitude. And yet, here we are. Hang on to your britches. It's going to get real. A couple of days in Miami, Florida, at a mall, the local police were dispatched to the mall for an argument, a fight that broke out between juveniles. Juveniles, they say, had sticks and fireworks. Oh my. But ultimately,
It
the
happened.
call, what they claim was the call, the reason for the police officers to arrive at the scene, was due to a fight that had broken out between juveniles who had sticks and fireworks. But Auntie, why do you care if that's on the news? That isn't a big deal. No, my friend, no, it's not. It is definitely not that big of a deal. I agree with you. And it is definitely, hands down, not a big enough deal for the local Miami Police Department to show up on the scene just like this.
Yeah.
I
Now
saw
that's
all of
crazy.
that.
Right? That's
Yeah, okay, that's crazy. I just want to stop it right there. That was a lot
Right.
of police officers when I did see like the clips of it. But what are they talking about? They were saying, like a bunch of kids fighting in the mall. That was the
Yeah.
original story.
See, and that's what I saw go down. Like all of this stuff about the aliens, I only heard from her and a few other people.
Right.
Um, and I know there are people like I follow a lot of people that are in the abolitionist movement, right? So
Hmm.
a lot of my stuff has to do like in my feed comes up with like police brutality, cops ain't shit type
So
stuff, right?
did you see this video?
I saw all the videos as they went down on New Year's. All of them were like, what is this? Why is there this many police for something
At
so
the
small?
mall. Right, right. So yeah,
Right.
that's
I was following the people that were listening to the police scanners that were like, okay, there's kids with sticks or fireworks. Why are
mm,
there this many police officers responding to something so minor? Right.
right,
And
right.
and of course it was all through the lens of this is a police state, right? This is a
Hmm.
clear sign that we are living in a police state if this is how they react to something so minor.
That's interesting how different like algorithms will show you the same story in different ways. That is
Right,
wild.
right. But I didn't hear nothing about aliens or anything until I saw this video. So
Yeah. This is one of the first ones that came across my feed.
Seems like a lot of officers to show up, but my friends, that is not anywhere near all that came. And once you understand and you hear the eyewitnesses' stories, I believe you will at that point understand a little bit better as to why so many police officers, probably 100, along with choppers, black choppers from the
Choppers.
PD, patrolling the scene from above. And
three or
according to
two or three.
witnesses, eyewitnesses there, the
That's
Miami
a
police
lot.
was not dispatched there for a juvenile fight. And the obvious need for such an enormous police presence was far more sinister than what we've been told.
The way she
As
talks.
multiple witnesses
Right.
claimed who have seen, I can't believe I'm going to say this, creatures that stood 8 to 10 feet tall, walking outside and even inside of the mall. And the pew-pews that were reported, and even the pew-pews you might hear in some of the videos, had nothing to do with the juvenile fight. According to these witnesses, it was actually the mall goers shooting to protect themselves from these 8
You
to
can
10
stop
feet
it
tall
there.
creatures in
Does
self-defense.
everybody have a gun?
Well, in Florida, yeah. In
Probably,
Florida,
yeah.
yeah. In Georgia, yeah. Like I'm in
The
Atlanta,
South
yes.
period. The South period.
Yes.
What am I talking about? But I was just like, oh
Right.
my gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it me or does
she
she look
didn't.
like a young Kathy Griffin?
Right. Well, here's the thing that she, it's all about the fear and the drama for clicks, right? She
Right,
doesn't
exactly.
come with anything else other than speculation, like she said in the very beginning.
Exactly.
Like I said, I heard the police scanners and there was confusion about like 8 foot tall aliens. That's where they're getting this from. And the reason why I really wanted to talk about this video right here in particular is because it shows that you cannot believe anything you see on the internet because someone said it. Like we
Well,
have to start using logic,
that's
right?
Neptune and
She
Pisces.
said,
That's Neptune and
but
Pisces. We're gonna have
but
this for like
she
a couple of years.
oh yeah,
So,
but I'm trying to educate people and understand that like don't believe everything that you
ah,
think.
yeah, you got to second guess it. You
You
got to
got to
second
second
guess it,
guess
and then
everything.
second
And
guess
she
it
said,
again.
and on top of that, don't trust everyone, right? Like I'm a very honest person. People that know me know I'm a very honest person, almost to a fault. But you wouldn't know that from without knowing me, right? You
Hmm.
can't trust anything. And she said at the very beginning, it's all speculation. Well, speculation is not fact. The fact is there was a large police presence. The fact
That's the
is there
fact.
was some chatter. The fact is they did shut down the airport and there were these choppers in the air. That's
Right.
all.
Why would
Those
they
are the
shut down the
facts.
airport though? That seems pretty like just to take a I'm gonna take a grain of salt with everything. Why would they shut the airport down? I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, and that is where like I said, it's like we have to recognize the facts.
But
Everything else that we
why would they
yeah,
shut the airport down for altercation at the mall? Is the
well
mall a
they
part of
had
the airport?
they had all the choppers in the air. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I don't believe anything that the cops say because the cops lie all the time.
Yes, and so does
Um
the government
so does the government, right?
and the
But
news.
I mean, if they have 3 helicopters in the air, it was also near the airport. It would make sense that they would shut down air traffic because you don't know what's going
But
on
why
with
would
that
they
amount
need
of police presence.
helicopters for a bunch of kids causing trouble?
They
That's
had
another
3
question.
helicopters in the air when they were out here in Atlanta,
Hmm.
coming into the Atlanta forest to shut down protesters. And that's
All
when
right.
they killed Tortuguita. So yeah, they will put choppers in the air for the most minor things that they don't need choppers. They will do, the police state will do anything to justify its existence. So that
Okay.
means they have to use the shit that they got. The tanks, the helicopters, all that
But
shit.
see, yeah, that's coming from the lens of the police state algorithm. So I can see how you'll see that, like, because the police are always going to overdo stuff. They're going to use whatever they got. If they got the money, this is what
On
they're
top
going
of
to
it
do.
was New Year's, and New
Well,
Year's
and New
is the
Year's is a
day that
crazy time, right? They're
New Year's is
prepared.
not only a crazy time, they're all working overtime, so they have to justify that overtime, right? And not only that, the one thing that people don't realize is there's an unofficial, it's never official because it would be clearly unconstitutional, but there is an unofficial list that cops have to meet a quota of tickets or arrests
That's
in order
scary.
to justify their existence.
That's why I
So,
stay in the house. No, but okay. All right. Next question would be, if we were a bunch of teens involved, where are the teens? I
who
mean,
are the teens?
they are the ones that are on TikTok and stuff.
Well,
So,
and then it also begs the question, like, was there any arrests? There was all that shooting. Was there any arrests?
hmm, the plot thickens. Let's see what else she's talking about. I don't know. I'm not saying it was aliens,
Fence.
but I ain't saying it
Right.
ain't.
Right. See the music.
I know, right?
Oh, that's what that was? Yeah, that's why I came out.
That is too far away. And who is flying up in the sky like that? That's a freaking high video.
High rise nearby.
Like that? Somebody has
Mhm.
a high
But
rise?
wait, it gets better. Along with
Oh,
the
it's Miami.
ridiculously high number of police officers that arrived on the scene and the helicopter flying above, apparently after this incident was phoned into the police, the black PD helicopters were the only things flying that night in the Miami sky. As the Miami airport was shut down, still no
Yeah, you
flights
just said that.
going or coming at Miami International, only one PD helicopter patrolling the area. The absolute lack of this story anywhere is absolutely driving me mad. On my Google search, I found nothing. I found crickets. Ironic. Even my ex, not my ex, even X let me down. Well, my ex
Oh,
let me down too, but that's a whole other story. Because when I searched on X, this is what I found. No results for people shooting at Miami Mall, 8 to 9 feet tall creatures. Okay, valid. Let's remove the obvious. Do another search without the 8 to 9 foot tall creatures. Well, now that's suspicious. Still no results for Miami Mall shooting
What?
January 2020.
That's pretty unusual.
But see, she put January 2024. See, this is where I need people to start thinking and pay attention to context clues. It was,
Ah.
if she
See?
would have put January 2023 or December 2023,
2023.
it might have come up, right? You know, like there's a lot of, I like that she did show like you have to do multiple searches. Like people don't even do the basic searches, they just read headlines.
Right,
Like, no,
exactly.
you have to
They don't search.
search.
Yeah, you
You have to
for
search
everything.
multiple different ways, multiple different algorithms, multiple different
Wording.
sites. You know, not just Google. You got to go to
Not Google.
DuckDuckGo, maybe some Bing.
I search on X sometimes though for stuff because you'll get the most recent, and I think
Exactly.
Twitter X is becoming like a search engine nowadays.
He
Where you
has worked that algorithm out. Like, I mean, there's some positive things that he's done, and there's some negative things that he's done, and that's one
yeah
of the positive things. Like, I used to, like, if I wanted to search for something that I posted in the past, I would have to type in my name and then one word and only one word, because if you type in more than one word before he took over, it just wouldn't let you come up with anything. So, but yeah, I mean, there's
gotta
really
learn how to
nothing.
use it.
There's nothing left to her video. It's just more speculation. If
I
you want to
like
keep watching,
We're gonna watch
okay.
her speculation a little bit. I want to see.
Okay.
24? That's very suspicious. Because judging by the size of the police presence, the helicopter,
I'm not
wait,
saying
there's
she's
more.
right.
You
I
would
ain't
think
saying she's
even
wrong
X would
either.
have one post about it, but nothing. Thank goodness for social media, though, because where would we be in situations like this when the media chooses not to report if we didn't have incredible people going to social media to post details about it themselves? Can someone confirm they've cut the police scanner? Check flight tracker. Doesn't look like any flights leaving or coming into MIA. You can see the helicopter doing loops. Yes, they cut the scanners. Multiple people claim they saw 8 to 10 foot tall aliens or very tall zombies, and it caused shoppers panic. There are now black helicopters flying, and everything is blocked off. Power has also been cut in a few blocks and at the mall. So you're going to tell me that the police literally cut the public's access to the police scanners, all because some juveniles are fighting with sticks?
That does seem odd.
Okay. And they're going to cut the power, not only to surrounding areas, but also the power to the mall itself. So much so that 61,290 homes are without power at that time. On Reddit, we found anyone.
That's pretty suspicious.
That is suspicious.
How do you explain that?
Well, see, you know, I'm the type of person, like, if I speculate things that are like more likely than not, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I always leave my mind open. So
I'm
for
saying,
me,
if let's say there's a riot at the mall, and you know this is Texas, we've had a couple of riots in malls with kids. Never
Hmm.
shut down like that. Never shut down. You just hear about some kids were shooting at the mall, blah, blah, blah. Another day.
But we are in different times. They have
Welcome to
doubled the police
Texas.
budget, right? They've
Yeah.
doubled the
I
police
mean,
budget
yeah,
nationwide. So
yeah.
they have to,
In
again,
the police
justify
state
themselves.
algorithm, that makes sense. But why
So
would they
here's what
shut the
I think
power
actually
off?
happened. Now, this is what I think actually happened. What I think
Okay.
actually happened was they did. I mean, think about it. We have projection, holographic technology. I mean,
Yeah.
anybody can go online and buy an Amazon $55 projector and make it look like a shadow. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be special graphic. And even with AI, they could make anything, right? And make it look like it's a giant 10-foot tall shadow walking.
But ain't nobody gonna be scared of that at no mall.
People are stupid.
People are
People
stupid.
are
But
stupid.
they're also entertained, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, look, it's a movie." And I would think that if you see a projection like that, if I saw any kind of little monster like being projected, I'm gonna think it's a movie unless the monster is killing people. That's when people start freaking out. That's how. What was that movie? Uh, at
I
the
mean, I'm just
world
thinking
at the
it
end
was a
of
stunt.
time. World at the end of time, or something like that, with Julia Roberts. I think I made some comments about that movie too.
Oh, the new movie on Netflix, Last of the World or something like that. Last something. I know it was Last something.
Either way, they had this clip.
Obviously, it was a very memorable movie.
It's a very memorable movie. I hated it. I totally hated it. But they have where they're showing the human condition, and I was watching. They were watching. There's a clip of the movie where everyone's watching this ship get closer and closer to the beach, and they're just
Oh yeah,
watching it like it's just getting closer. No one moved. No one did anything. They got their camera phones out. It was just showing how stupid society is.
and
That
that's the
that
point that I was trying to make.
Well, I'm just saying, if there is an alien, people would watch and they would record it too.
Yeah, but
And
the way she
that's
said that,
another thing. That's another thing where I will say maybe it's not an alien, but it's something else. Because where's the video footage? I don't care if you're scared. Someone stupid is going to record that shit and put it on TikTok.
true, true, and that's what makes me think that it was a stunt of some kind. Because if it wasn't, like, people would have recorded it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it was, I don't know how to describe it. It's like people will react out of two ways. Out of either it's fight or flight in those types of situations. Some people will
Hmm.
freeze and pull out their phones. Other people will run. I'm the type of motherfucker, like, if I'm afraid, I'm not going to ask questions. Or if I see people running, I'm running too.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So, and a lot of people, this is Miami. This is there's a lot of black folks in Miami. And,
Hmm.
if black folks see people running, they're not going to be like, oh, let me go look. They're going to run too.
Black folks is gonna run. But
Right.
I've seen plenty of fight videos that there's always gonna be one motherfucker that's gonna record it.
Exactly. So that's
You're
why
gonna
I
have
think
at least one person that's gonna say, "I'm gonna take a risk. I'm gonna
it
hide in this
is
corner
suspect.
and pull my camera out."
Right.
If there, were-
The
I
whole
would say,
situation
yeah, I
suspect.
would say if there was an alien, someone would have had extra footage. Right now, all we got is this aerial footage, which looks suspect to me because, like, who the fuck got aerial footage? You said, yeah, they live up in
Oh,
towers, but it was like the camera angle kept moving forward out, not just the zoom, but I was like, is this in a plane, like for real, like or a helicopter?
it could have been one of the drones or something. Who
A
knows? But I
drone,
know that
yeah, a drone too. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like this is weird footage. But be the only footage. Now I'm gonna go into my conspiracy hat. Where is my foil hat? Psyop. Psyop.
yeah.
I think it's this whole thing feels like a psyop to distract us, to
And
make
if
us
you
talk about it when we probably should
and
be focused on something else.
and it was True Stream Media that posted that on X, and that's where I found it. And they actually said on their post, let me see if I can find it. But they said in their post that this is giving War of the World vibes, and that was exactly what I was thinking too. Was like,
Hmm.
let's see how people are going to react to 10-foot tall aliens, you know, and it could have just been a projection, and it could have been some advanced projection. I mean, we know about, I don't know if you know about it, but I know about Project Bluebeam. Like, it's
Yeah,
very possible that they could have made something look real.
I think Project
Um,
Bluebeam is going to be for stuff in the sky, though, if I'm correct, right?
they've done it on the side of buildings before. I mean, there's ways that they can make anything look real now. I mean,
That's true. But also, I think that's also a distraction. I think they don't want us to believe our eyes when something happens. Um, Another thing that came across my algorithm, I wish I had the video for you. The tall blacks. Have you heard about them? They're aliens.
like, what do you mean by
They're
blacks? Like,
like
that sounds very
black,
racist.
like
So
no, they're actually like black aliens. Like black as night in the
I've
sky.
heard about the shadow aliens. I have heard about them. That's what made me intrigued
These are
about
the tall
this.
blacks. Like the tall whites are all peachy white, like white as snow. The tall blacks are supposed aliens, warring aliens that are pitch black, like blacker than black. That's been coming across my algorithm too. I'm like, hey, well, maybe I just been targeted because I'm black.
You know, you probably you might be, and that's the thing that
Yeah.
scares me is, like, you know, they and the UFO community has been infiltrated by the dark, and they've caused a lot of division. There are a lot of people that believe these Nordic aliens are like benevolent, but because they're white and but if you think about it, they are the textbook definition of Aryan, you know, white, blonde hair, blue
Oh.
eyes, and yet they're supposed to be the good ones. And it's like,
Mm.
if you know human beings, there are good human beings and there are bad human beings. We cannot judge humans by our whole entire race. We have to judge them by the individual. So I treat
Yeah,
aliens the same
exactly.
way. You can't just say, oh, this whole entire race is cool. No, there's probably some fuck shit going on with them too. There's always going to be someone fucking it up for everybody else. That's why laws are created.
You know what? That says a lot, but I hear the same thing in the spiritual community, switching vibes here. When they're talking about, and a lot of people are gonna hate me for this. Please don't unfollow me, but they say that about demons. But if you look about it. Is that even a word? Daemon comes from the word daemon, which means spirit, which means there are bad spirits and there's good spirits, but you really don't know, and this because they're all spirits. Technically, they're all quote unquote demons, daemons. Uh, but you have to figure out which ones are the good ones and which ones are the bad ones. But you work with spirits every day, all your life. You just don't realize
All
it.
the time. We all do. We all
Yeah,
communicate telepathically. There is more that we don't know than we do, you know, and you
exactly.
don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to the spiritual stuff, like, you're right. There's a lot of people that I lost
Keep
my
going.
train of thought. No, it's just there's a lot of people that you
That
know,
you
they're
fell in love with this witch I put on the camera.
yeah,
No.
I was a little like, huh? But no, there's a lot of people that are still locked into their old religious teachings, and when they hear words like demon, evil, good,
Hmm.
bad, it
It triggers off.
triggers
It triggers off different
it,
emotions.
different different emotions, different perceptions based on the person and the individual, their lived experience. You know, I have no fear of any entities. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I see. When we talk about like spiritual beings out there, there are some that are really smart. There are some that are really, we won't say dumb, but just simple.
And there's
Look,
also tricksters. There's
there's
done some that will just get shits and giggles out of fucking with people for no
well,
reason.
you saw that movie. You saw that movie Gremlins.
Yeah. Sometimes they
Yeah,
just wanna, they just wanna stir the pot and watch us react like idiots.
yeah,
And that's the
exactly.
thing. Like, the true lens is like, is this triggering fear? And if it is
Hmm.
triggering fear, then it's something that I need to let go of, because if you are truly have unconditional love in your heart, there is no room for fear.
Exactly. I agree with you. Totally, totally. Um,
So what was the witch that you were? What was this? What, yeah, you pulled it
oh,
away. I wanted to
I didn't.
see.
Well, I was trying to share it and it put it on the screen before I wanted it to, so I thought
Okay.
it was gonna give me a little time to prep for it. Anyways, so I wanted to see your reaction on this. I haven't seen it myself.
Okay.
Uh, the witch. I don't want to call her a witch because that brings negative connotations.
Yeah.
Because
See, again, people fear.
people fear.
I have no
No,
fear of no witch.
this is Teal Swan. I don't believe she's a witch. I think she's a very philosophical person. She has been burned at the stake. I don't know if you saw there was a Hulu uh documentary made about her and they made her like a cult leader, which she kind of is, but I think everything is a cult to some extent.
Right.
But she's helping people. She's a spiritual person. She helps people get through their things. She does have like some kind of place where she invites certain people to come live with her, and they create a community. They have a community, and they help, I guess, support her videos and create her content. Her people, basically, her village. Some people call it a cult, but hey, there's a lot of people in church, and I think
I have
church
a
is a
lot of
cult.
feelings about cults. I could go on a whole tangent on
Hey,
that.
you
So
know what? That'll be a whole nother conversation because
that'll be a
yeah,
whole other video.
I mean, I don't like being part of cults, but I understand their purpose in society and how people do it, regardless.
Right. I understand that. But I will say this, like I always try to warn people, it's like the line in the sand for a cult versus a religion or something spiritual is if
Hmm.
they try to cut you off from your family and support system. That is a red flag that nobody should ever like that's a soul sacrifice. If you are sacrificing the people that matter to you most just
Hmm.
because someone else told you to, that
Right.
that ain't
And we're your
spiritual.
new
That ain't love.
family. We're your new family.
Right. No.
Okay.
Because a real
But you got to understand.
spiritual person will be like, "Hey, you know what? They may not agree with it. That's okay. Invite them to come see for themselves. And if they're not okay with it, that's fine. Still stay in contact with them." That would be real love and light, and that would also be
Exactly.
respecting everyone's free will.
Exactly. There's a one thing I know a lot of spiritual people are like, I want to stay away from negativity. And that sometimes that does involve like cutting off family members, but at the same time, you need to always keep that door open because they are your blood. And saying that, you know
That
what,
part.
you know, we always have to
I
be in a
know.
loving spirit. It's like, okay, I'm not going to let you affect my life in a negative way. But when you get your act together, you can come back in. This,
Exactly. It's also, it's not even just spiritual. It's also just basic psychology and anything that, like, if you saw a therapist, that is what they would recommend to do is
hmm
set boundaries, expect that person to respect your boundaries. And
it's
if they
boundaries. That's
don't,
all it is.
that's all
They
it
can't be
is.
apart. Yeah.
You know,
He's
and
like, if you
I've
don't
had to
respect
do it
my
with my
boundaries.
family,
Hmm.
and I've left the door wide open. They've just chosen not to respect my boundaries, so they know not to contact me
Oh,
because they know they're not going to be able to keep themselves together. And some people are going to be like that. That's another part of this process of ascension that I feel like is sorely lacking in the world today. Jesus talked about non judgment, but it wasn't
hmm.
just Jesus. A lot of people don't realize Muhammad talked about non judgment, Abraham talked about non judgment. Buddha talked about non judgment. If all of the major spiritual leaders and spiritual thought thinkers that started all of our world religions and spirituality all say the same thing, you might want to pay attention to that. Judgment has nothing to do with the individual or the other person. It has to
Hmm.
do with you. It has to, you don't forgive other people for them. You forgive them for you so that your soul can be lighter, so that you can ascend higher.
Interesting.
So so for me, it's like, yeah, if somebody in a cult tells you to cut off your family without leaving that door open, without doing it from a place of love, without respecting your free will, that's a cult.
Hmm.
And
It's a
it's a,
cult.
it's a dangerous.
But
It's dangerous.
you see it happen so often, especially online with a lot of people, because it's so easy to get a following. Um, that people create that
Because
fear.
liars will lie in order to get people to worship
Well, they
them
need to control them. Yeah, they need to control
and to control them.
them.
Right. And the thing about it is like we all have to start looking at people's actions over their words. You know,
That's
you can
true.
talk about love and light all day, but if you're not behaving like love and light all day, then what are you doing?
But also subscribe that you can't be love and light all day. You're gonna have your ups and downs.
Hmm.
It's a fact.
I don't know. For me, I've actually found a balance. Like
You
I
have
don't
to.
have
You got to
a
find a balance. But you're a
I
Libra.
don't have
Yeah,
any.
I got to find a balance. I'm a Libra. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's the Libra. But I mean, I've actually found that balance within me where it's just like even in messed up situations where I'm angry at someone, I don't hate them. I can
Hold
be
on,
angry.
my mama's calling me. Hold on. I can't. Look. Oh Lord, my mama. Hey, mama, I'm doing a podcast right now. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
She doesn't turn it off. Mama, I'm busy. I'll talk to you later, okay? Turn it off. I don't know how to turn it off. She doing a FaceTime. Oh, here it is. Bye.
Oh,
You see
she
how
must have.
flipped that
She was like, "What?" She turned that phone around so quick. Oh.
was? Oh my God, that's so funny. Anywho,
Perfect
uh,
timing too, because I was
I
going
mean
on a tangent.
that's okay. Let's look at this. Let's look
But
at this
yes,
witch. All
why
right.
do you say it like that though?
No, just playing. I'm playing. I'm sorry. Uh, let's look at this cult leader.
Friction.
Wow,
What
that's
is
a
it?
long video.
It will be something not positive. That's the difference between where you're coming at all of this from and where I'm coming at all this from. Whenever you're in a backwards world, you kind of have to carve out for yourself a sanctuary that's going the opposite direction within that backwards world. I could never forget non-physical reality. I'm literally looking at it all day long. Now, this offers truths to me that other people do not see. Most people want to be like, oh, is there this multidimensional process that I can do to heal all this trauma? And I'm like, look, it's this simple. It's these really tangible actions, actually, that change the past.
This is Teal Swan. You never heard of her?
I have heard of her. I haven't seen her. But the thing is, when I hear spiritual people
What's
that
your
are
vibe so
considered,
far? What's your vibe so far?
when you know the
What are you getting from her?
okay, I no, I have to say this. Okay, when you know the ultimate truth, the
Uh-huh.
ultimate truth is infinite. It can be described infinite ways, right? When you meet other people that know that truth, they will never see it the same way as you, but when they talk about it, you know you're talking about the same thing. That's why a lot of spiritual people use a lot of the same words like multidimensional or high vibrational, right? But only the truly awakened individual that knows the ultimate truth knows what that means and knows how to use it in the proper context. When I hear people like her talk, they make no sense to me. Because all they talk about is just like they just use these buzzwords, these spiritual buzzwords, like multidimensional quantum healing. And it's like,
let's see. I've heard some things that she says that I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
and usually when you hear those things, it's because they're regurgitating something somebody else said that understood that ultimate truth, and then it's always missing that connection. We'll see. I'm reserving. I don't judge.
I just asked you your first.
But that is my initial thoughts. I'm still open-minded.
Healing.
How have you navigated your own human shadow in the light of so much public perception?
Oh, this is the hell of my life. To be honest with you, it's become harder and harder to hold on to my light, not the shadow. Because of how often you acquaint yourself with people who love you to death, only to become your greatest haters later. There are entire aspects of my personality which people have decided don't get to exist.
Often, great tragedies are required for humanity to have the opportunity to awaken. What do you see is to come?
Society is the sum of its pieces. So if the individuals within a society are doing this work and you see them wake up, it causes a massive shift within the society itself. By doing so, even when you've got such powerful forces against you, you can be in profound levels of alignment. And therefore, your life experience is going to be different from that place.
You know what it is? From that clip, I finally figured out what it is that I don't like
What?
about her.
What?
And why I don't resonate with her. And it's like, and I have no judgment against her.
No,
I still love, but for it's she's so concerned with the external and what other people think about her that she's missing the internal and what's going on. So when she talks about things of quantum nature, that's why I tune her out, because she obviously has not gone into the quantum realm to really understand what she's talking about.
I already told you the background. They done put a whole Hulu TV show about her being a cult leader, and she started out as this, YouTube spiritualist. Sometimes I feel like society is trying to give us spiritual thought leaders, and she's one of them. And that's I'm like, wow. And then
And the
this
system
guy,
will always try to take them down. So I mean, I'm not
but
judge. I haven't seen the
no,
Hulu
it's
thing, but
her. It's this African dude, and then this dude. This is not a Teal Swan video. This is actually a video of some other dude the algorithm's been giving me, who does spiritual podcasts. So I'm almost like, wow, all the famous spiritual people are all grouping together. You know what I mean? And I'm like, wow, it's like they're become the new priests and priestesses of society. At least on the I don't know if they're real or if I should trust them, or because they do say some true things, but I'm like, are they just put in place to control the spiritual community?
yes, there's
That's what I was.
gatekeepers. Like what Cat Williams was talking about. There's gatekeepers on all levels.
Hmm.
I know that whenever I say deep things online, that I get attacked by all sides.
Hmm.
All sides. Where like especially when it comes to the politics stuff, when I say something that's really, really, really true, I get attacked by Republicans and Democrats, lefts, conservatives, all of them, and that's when I know it's really, really true, because it's triggering them.
Right.
So I think, like, when it comes to these types of things, yeah, there are gatekeepers because they want to control the narrative, and they want to limit our growth as much as they possibly can, because they know we are in ascension. They
Of
know
course.
that the planet is ascending, and the only way to control that narrative is to have the certain people in place that will always say the right thing, that the establishment, the status quo, wants them to say, in
Hmm.
order to kind of taper it, and keep the ascension process down. And the thing about it is, I see the politics side with the spiritual side at the same time, and the dark ones are doing some very nefarious things behind the scenes that aren't getting mainstream media coverage. But
Well, why would
those
they
the
advertise that? They're not going to advertise
right,
that kind of stuff.
they're not gonna. Well, even when there's a protest against it, they're not advertising.
Hmm.
It's like, like what she was saying in the video that we played first, right? About the aliens. She was
Hmm.
like, why isn't this on mainstream media news? Well, they're not going to talk about it. Even if they had definitive proof that there was aliens, they're not going to talk about it unless they get the okay from the Department of
No government,
Defense. Yeah, from the Pentagon.
which tells you that the media is governmentally controlled. Of course it is.
All of it is. I mean, I'm we can get into politics a little later, but I don't know if I shared this with you. I'm, fully behind Marianne Williamson for the
Who?
2024. Marianne, yeah,
Oh.
exactly. Exactly. Who? Nobody knows who she is because nobody's
Who
talking
that?
about her.
Who that? She's
There's a
running for
mainstream media
president.
blackout. Yeah, she's running for president as a Democrat, and the thing is, the media is trying to spin it as, oh, she's a third party candidate. No, she's a Democrat challenging Biden, running on the things that both Democrats and Republicans want across the country.
Of course, she's not going to get media
And
notice.
she's anti-corruption. She's not taking big money donations. She won't take PAC money. Like, that right there is the reason why You won't see her on the mainstream media.
You won't
And
see her,
that
and
right
even if
there,
she won, though, they're going to destroy her in the
oh, they
media.
call her a woo-woo crystal lady. And I've had conversations with her. She is a philosopher, but she is far from woo-woo.
Well, I
Like,
say this is listen. This is what I believe when we get to this time of voting, what they just so happen to do every 4 years. Vote with your conscience, and if she's the type that resonates with you, you when you vote, you're saying, I'm giving consent to this person's choices for my life. That's why I don't be voting on like, oh, I'm black, I got to be Democrat. Maybe just the Republicans, or no, maybe how
yeah,
about the person
the
that I resonate with and everything they're saying is true to me. So I've done third party a few times,
me too.
but you know what? I'm just saying is that if that's the person you say, hey, you know what? If they decided something, I would agree with it. And that's the who you should vote for. So never vote on like politics and like, oh, this is what this party's doing. No,
Or
look at that
single
person.
issues, right?
Yeah, or
Like
single
there's a
issue.
because I do want to say this, and I get a lot of shit online, especially on X, whenever I promote Marianne Williamson, because they start coming with receipts about things that she might have said that weren't in alignment with something that I'm in alignment with, you know. And the thing like a good example would be this Israeli Palestine thing, and I won't get too much into it because I know the algorithm. Um, but
I'm
she
already
has a
shadow
take.
banned. I'm already shadow banned. You can't
Me
say
too.
anymore.
Well, she said something about trying to reach a two-state solution, and I was like, girl, that time is gone. Like that time is gone. Like
Mhm.
that's gone. I don't agree with that. But the fact is, she's the only candidate running that is called for a permanent ceasefire from day one, that is
Mhm.
called for peace, has a whole section on her platform talking about creating a Department of Peace to find peaceful diplomatic solutions to all of our world problems. So,
How?
like, she is the peace candidate. Like, honestly, it's like, oh, she has a whole list. Like, you have to check out her website. Everything on her website not only says what she wants to do, it says how she wants to do it, and it shows how she can get it done with the presidency and what she needs from Congress. So she doesn't make any
Mm.
promises she can't keep. Like, people are like, well, why are you still saying that you're going to fund Israel? She's like, that deal was done by Congress and the Obama administration. That deal's done. I can't, no president coming into the office can say, oh, we're just going to stop funding them. It's already a done deal. They got the funding. But she said, I can stop the funding from going to them if they're doing war crimes. That's what the
Mm.
president can do. She could put a
Right.
pause on it. And that's what she made the promise to do. See, that's what I'm talking about. Is
She
like
made a promise, but
she made a promise that she could only
she
keep.
ain't gonna get that money because elections ain't nothing but fundraisers, and they ain't gonna give
See,
her
and
that
that's
money.
another thing that, she ain't making money. She's actually losing money. I've talked to
I
her.
know, but you got to have a campaign, and then campaigns and elections
She's
are
getting small donations, but
paid for.
most of
Paid
the money
for.
is coming out of her pocket. I don't know. Like for me, it's like there's only two candidates that I'm paying attention to right now that live love and light: Marianne Williamson and Cornel West. The rest of them are not anywhere. They're establishment tools.
That's
All of them.
true. Everyone's paid for it. That's why. That's how they
Yeah,
win,
and
though.
she's not.
We
Obviously,
just
she's
got.
not because they're not talking about her.
I
Same
would
thing with
say
Cornel
vote for
West.
her. I don't think she's gonna win. Vote
And
for
I'm
her
voting for
either
her in the
way.
primary. And I also
Yeah,
say this, it depends what is on your ballot, where you are, who you are.
yeah.
There's a lot of
And
factors that go into where
what
your
the
vote
common
goes.
person knows, what the common person is listening to, and you know,
Well,
if
like
you
in a
can reach
state like
those common people.
Where I'm at in Georgia, it's turning purple. If I see that it is a Trump Biden rematch, um, I it doesn't
Something
really
gonna
matter
happen.
where.
Something gonna
Well, if
happen to
it's a
Biden.
Trump Biden rematch, what
Something gonna
happens
happen to
here in
Biden.
Georgia? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's another topic.
So,
But
yeah.
I agree. I agree. But all I'm trying to say is, like here in Georgia, how I vote because I'm so different from the surroundings, the people that vote in my area. It doesn't matter how I vote. Like
Because
my
you're white
vote
and
is more of
everybody's
a
black.
no. It's actually the opposite. It's actually
You're
the
black?
opposite. No, because I'm in a white area and
Okay.
I vote
You vote
very hardcore progressive
Democrat.
leftist.
It's Democrat. Okay. All right. So you're in a Republican
And I'm in a
area voting.
Republican state. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
on the border of Marjorie Taylor Greene's district.
Lord have mercy. All right.
Right. My husband met her. My
Okay.
husband met her at his job. She came in there and she was just totally racist to him. And he was like, "Oh, we gotta watch out for this her. Like, we gotta
Yeah.
watch out for her." And I was like, "What?" And then I was like, "Oh my God." And then I started talking to people. They were like, "Oh, I love her." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is the area that I live in." So yeah, like you got to factor in everything. You're in Texas. In
Yeah.
Texas, it's a Republican state. So I mean, I would say if Trump is leading in Texas, you might want to think about voting for anyone else that is polling higher, polling the highest other than him. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
most of the cities are liberal, and Texas is a different world. So Texas is usually run by cities and not by the state. But that's another story.
Yeah, and the same thing goes here.
That's
Like, because
Texas
if I were to
history.
go maybe 20 miles away from where I live, I'm in a totally Democratic district because I'm out. Atlanta is separate from Georgia.
Okay.
Like Atlanta is very progressive, very left, very blue, but
Hmm.
outside is the opposite. Like if you go outside of 285, the circle, it's
Yeah.
so, that's what I say when I talk about politics. It's like, we all have our own individual choices and we can't bash each other for our own individual choices. Hate
That's
is
true.
never going to solve anything. And we just have to learn how to agree to disagree and just know that we like when it comes down to it, like I think pretty much everyone, with the exception of a few, can agree that fascism is a threat and fascism needs to be stopped. How we do that is an individual choice.
What do you mean fascism?
Fascism is a very clear-cut definition. And let me look it up. Let me give you the actual Webster's definition.
Just-
Fascism
well, we hear this word a
definition.
lot, but yeah.
Merriam-Webster. Yes, but we all need to educate ourselves on what these words mean, where they come from. Like, you like to break down the words down to where they really come from. Okay, so, but fascism is a newer word. It came about after Mussolini. So it says often capitalize a political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of a fascisti, which is where the word comes from. It's a Italian word that exalts a nation and often a race above the individual and stands for centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, excuse me, enforceable suppression of opposition. Basically, it is the opposite of free will. That's the way I see it. It is the opposition to free will.
Yeah, but that's all government.
Exactly though. Like
Well,
people keep calling
are we gonna be anarchists? Are we gonna be an anarchist? I don't
well,
know.
I mean,
Either way, the government. I've already seen. I've done readings on it. I've already seen the government as we know it is about to be changed. I don't know how, or
radically.
it's already done. Maybe we don't realize it, but yeah, the U.S. is at that time.
Yeah, and I've done my own tarot readings. I love your tarot readings because you
Oh,
really know
thank
how to
you.
read into the cards. Like you really
Yeah.
know how to look into the cards and see what is going on and oh um like when you look into those cards, you know exactly what's going on and you can see the layers like an
Hmm.
onion. And I don't really see that. I see it very superficial, but I've
Yeah.
done my own readings. I have my own visions. I've seen this government like it is there are again more things that we don't know than we do.
Hmm.
And I feel like us as spiritual light workers, one of my favorite quotes is by Lauryn Hill. She says, "One drop of purity can cleanse a cesspool." And I feel like those of us that have the eyes to see and the ears to hear and see the truth need to speak it and interject it into every conversation that we possibly can, because that is where we will get through this ascension process with the least amount of resistance, because it all happens through conversations. We have a lot more in common than we don't have in common with any stranger. You know what I'm saying? But we just don't take the time to talk to them because we're not open-minded enough, or we want to judge, or, there's all kinds of factors that block us from having meaningful conversations and relationships, not just, emotion, like romantic relationships. All friendships are relationships, right? We cannot have a relationship without relation. And we have to relate with each other. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is talk with each other. That's why they're doing so hard to interrupt our conversations and cause divide. Because they know that if they get us fighting with each other, we'll never get to the root. Like I said, there is only a few things that we will always disagree with with everyone. Like, there's certain things that you and I do not agree with, but I'm okay with that.
It's a law of polarity. There's
Right.
always going to be an opposite of something.
There's always, but the thing about it is, so many people get triggered because they've been programmed to automatically discount the whole baby with the bathwater, the whole thing, just because somebody said one thing that they don't agree with.
Oh, well, what can you do?
We have to lead by example.
You were talking about ascension, and a lot of people talk about ascension. What do you think that is?
We're just raising the whole planet as individuals. Is the individuals on this planet are raising their vibration, whether they want to or not. Period.
Well, what do you think that looks like? What is, like, when people say, how would you know?
What do you mean? How would you know what?
Like, what do you think? I mean, there's no wrong answer here. It's just, how would you think you would know if the ascension, it's happening now, it's completed?
Oh, it's never completed. I don't think
But
it's
I'm just
ever
saying,
completed.
like, what would be some, like, clues to you? I mean, I've seen videos and what people are saying, but what do you think?
Right. Well,
like, what is it like?
Well, those that haven't done the work, right? Those that haven't done the shadow work. A lot of people talk about shadow work. Shadow work is just letting go of the things that are no longer serving you. Those who have not done that are constantly getting triggered by all those things that are no longer serving them, and then they react. So we literally have a world that is in 1 foot in the old world and 1 foot in the new. We are actually witnessing it happening right now. We have people that are so triggered that they're attacking each other and not real. But they're ascending too. That's the thing people don't realize. That's why they're acting this way, because they don't know, they don't have the emotional tools, the psychological tools, the emotional maturity to deal with the internal strife that's going on within them. So they lash out at other people and project onto them their own insecurities. There's a lot of projection going on. You can see it all over Twitter. Yeah. People saying other people are doing something that they're obviously not doing, but the person that's saying it is clearly doing it, and not realizing that they're being a hypocrite when they say that. So there's two kinds of people: those that are actively trying to ascend, and those are the spiritual people, or maybe even not. I've met some atheists that are on the ascension process, where they don't believe in any of the spiritual stuff. They don't believe there's an afterlife. They don't believe in any of that, but they are still expanding their mind and raising their vibration and letting go of the things that are no longer serving them. And the only thing that they agree with me on the spiritual stuff is that energy is not lost nor destroyed. I always throw an atheist through a loop when I say that, because then that kind of breaks that barrier of, is there an afterlife? There has to be. This energy has to go somewhere.
Well, it's all about if they believe their consciousness is energy. If they don't believe their consciousness is going to still exist, then what can I tell them?
Most atheists do believe that, though, because there's scientific evidence to show that your consciousness has some energy.
exists, there's an afterlife. I don't know. It's their
That's a
belief in
big topic to
the
unpack
thing
there.
is with atheists, um, their non-belief in God is still a belief in God because it's just like, okay, they said God doesn't exist. Well, in actuality, yes, God doesn't not exist because to exist means you have to be a creation. God is not a creation, thus God does not exist. God is the nothingness. And
It's
that
like the
is
chicken
what a
or
lot
the
of people
egg.
it's like that's what a lot of people don't even realize. You're proving that God is real because there is the nothingness is what God is. It's the subconscious, or it's not even consciousness because the creation is consciousness. God is the subconsciousness. It's the unknown. It's the I can't be known until I create something. It's like God is like
It's everything and
God
nothing.
is like, you want to know me? Here, I creating reality to show you who I am, and you still don't believe me. So what the fuck am I supposed to tell you?
Well, there it is. It's like, that God, to me, God is everything and nothing all
Yeah.
at once, all over everything, every atom, every energy, every lack of energy. Right?
Hmm.
I feel like negativity is just the lack of God. Like hate is just the lack of love. Right? So when it comes down to this, like the ascension, you asked me what you think ascension is. Ascension is like, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, is actively trying to take that spark of creation that's within you, that part that is eternal, and amplify it.
Hmm.
And whether you want to or not, it's happening. Right? We're and I could talk from a purely scientific standpoint. I don't know if you follow space weather. I follow space weather. We are getting bombarded with all kinds of stardust right now from
Yeah.
our sun, and it's changing all of the planets in the solar system. This is just scientific fact. I recommend anybody that watches this go check out uh, Suspicious Observers, and the O is spelled with a zero.
Well, just
Great daily.
put the link, and so I can put it in the chat or put it in the.
Uh, I'll give it to you after this because I don't have it
Oh, yeah.
handy.
All right. Make sure you give me the link.
Yeah, but they give great daily videos on what's going on with the sun, and it will always tell me multiple things. Like when we get hit with space radiation, people start acting a fool like it's a full moon. Like it affects the psyche.
Hmm.
When there's lack of it, it causes people to also act crazy because now they're going through withdrawals. Because everything is energy. We're getting energy from the sun. The sun is part of creation. It's
Hmm.
literal light coming through as particles
Right. So
down
there's
to
a
the
lot.
surface.
There are some that have said that the sun is conscious, that it has a consciousness of its own.
So is the
As,
planet.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, the planets
I think
too.
everything
Earth
has conscious.
has some level of consciousness, and so that maybe the
Everything
sun
is
is
I think
going
the
through
creator,
some transformation, maybe.
we are all trying to become more in alignment with source. And that's really
Hmm.
what ascension is the individual becoming more in alignment with source. The more you do the shadow work, the more you let go of the things that are no longer serving you, the higher you vibrate. And the higher you vibrate, the more your light shines. And the more your
So
light shines, the more
let's.
you become part of the creator and more in alignment with the creator's goal for you on the surface
A lot of
in
people talk
physicality.
about a lot of people talk about shadow work. What is that to you?
Oh, like I said earlier, it's just letting go of things that are no longer serving.
Do you have a certain practice that you do with your shadow work that you do to
Well,
kind
I
of
always do my
dive in?
chakras every day,
Hmm.
chakras every day. Um, and there's certain things that I do with my chakras. I also do spirit baths at least once a month.
Hmm.
There's little tools that I've learned, physical tools like a
Hmm.
hammer that will help amplify the process. But
What hammer? What you
ultimately,
doing with the hammer?
well, you got to hammer a nail. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
okay. I thought you were
you know what
using
I'm
a
saying?
physical hammer for something.
No, no, no,
I
no.
gotta
Like,
clarify that stuff.
no, no, no. It's more of an analogy. It's like, like a
Oh,
hammer is a
analogy.
tool. You use it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You use a hammer to, you don't, you could use a rock. Is it going to be easier to use a rock or is it going to be easier to use a hammer?
You're
Yeah,
so
you can meditate.
philosophical.
Yeah, but I mean, like you could meditate, or you could
Mm,
meditate with some tools like sage or
mm.
incense, or spirit baths, like I was saying earlier, or crystals. They're
Yeah,
all tools to amplify
I
the
think
process and make it easier.
I think life itself will put you through shadow work. You just have to you at some point you have to realize that that's a lesson that needs to be learned and pushed through it. There's a lot of dark moments that people go through that they don't accept or try to learn that lesson and say, you know what, God is trying to teach me something right now. And
That
they like, they don't learn the
Yep.
lesson. Also, with shadow work, sometimes dealing with yourself, turning off the radio, turning off the TV, turning off the phone, sitting in silence, going into a dark room and without, well, you can actually get therapy with that. What is that? Um, where they take all the senses away, they make you sit in a bath.
sensory deprivation.
Sensory deprivation, yeah. Actually doing a purpose sensory deprivation on yourself. Maybe blindfold yourself, close your ears, and just
Well,
go let your mind go somewhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of what you're talking about, like, when you said going within, I mean, that's another thing that all the spiritual leaders talked about. Buddha, Muhammad, Abraham, and Jesus all talked about going within in order to finding the answers. And the answers will never be found externally. They will always be found within that little light of mine, right? That spark within. That's where all the answers are. There's so much I could say about all that, especially when it comes to meta trying to create something that's already natural. Creating the
Hmm.
metaverse. The
Hmm.
metaverse is another trap of the dark ones because there actually is a metaverse. It's called the Akashic Records. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, like, there's a lot, but when it comes down to it, it's like the shadow work is about not just letting go of what's no longer serving you. It's recognizing your own flaws and accepting them and loving yourself and not judging yourself regardless of it. Because a
Hmm.
lot of people right now are so narcissistic. We're trained to be narcissists by the social media. So it's another trap. It causes people to not want to look at their faults or the things that are wrong with them or the things that they could be doing better. One of the sayings, like back when you and I met, I was learning this lesson, which is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results.
Right.
I feel like humanity is learning that lesson right now because there are a lot of people doing the same thing, expecting different results. Politics is a good example of that. The way people talk online is a good example of that. Why are you always fighting? You're doing the same thing, expecting different results. You're fighting with
Mm.
someone, expecting them to agree with you, but then you keep doing it. You're expecting yourself to find a better, more spiritual balance, but yet you're not doing anything different to remove all of those things or recognize all of those things that are imperfect within you. We love to judge other people and look at every. It's always easier to see the faults in other people than it is to see the faults in ourselves.
Well, that's true.
And that's the problem. It's like when people start to realize, like, you can't control what other people do. There
Mm-mm.
is
You can only
nothing
control
that
yourself. Hmm.
you can only control yourself. So that means taking personal responsibility for yourself and actually actively trying to move through this ascension process because we are all going through it whether we want to or not. It's just a lot easier if you don't fight against it and
Right.
you actually fight with it, you know,
Well,
especially when it comes to
that's the shadow work. This saying like, how
it's easier to fight
am I being the
for.
villain in my own story?
Right.
That's
Exactly. It's
basically.
easier to fight for something than it is against something. And
Hmm.
that's and everything, whether it be spiritual or physical. Like, it's easier to fight for a peace candidate than it is to fight against a fascist. It's a
Because
lot of wasted energy when you're
no
fighting.
one's gonna advertise himself as a fascist.
Yes, they will. Ron DeSantis is doing that right now.
He's
Trump
not
is
calling
doing
himself.
that right now.
He's not calling himself a fascist.
He actually had an ad where people were calling him a fascist and like YouTube clips and cut them all
Hmm.
together and put them into an ad. He's wearing it like he is wearing all of the things that he has been doing, all the fascist policies that he's been doing in Florida, and the people calling him out. He put that into an ad. He's proud of it.
Because that's provoking. He's provoking you.
Well, because they've trained and indoctrinated a whole segment of our population to think that they are on the side of righteousness, when in actuality they are fighting with pure evil. Hate is pure evil. That's all they have. Their whole base is based on hate. That's not love. That can't be love. There's, you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's just so easy to see dark and light, and I think it's just because I finally, realized like you have to pay attention to what people do.
Yep.
Not what they say, because anybody could say, "Oh, I'm love and light." Okay, prove it. What are you doing in your life that means that you're love and light? My husband's coming home, so I knew we were going to be hitting. But yeah, I mean,
what are you doing? Why is my dinner not cooked?
Oh no, well, he ain't like that. No. Hey, baby.
Anywho.
But yeah, like, I want to have conversations like this with you, like monthly or weekly or more regularly, because I feel like we have great conversations, and I feel like people will benefit from hearing what we have to talk about.
Oh, cool, man. We'll reconnect and do it again. All right, guys. So I'm gonna let him go on and cook some dinner for his husband.
Lord have mercy.
If you guys have any comments about what's going on or what we talked about, please leave it below. And if you like it, go ahead and subscribe. And talk to you guys later. Make your reality happen. Because if you don't do it, who will?